Hello everyone, I'm day weather meteorologist Don Day with your Public Lands Council weekly weather update for this October 22nd, 2022. It's being brought to you by Ag Risk Advisors and WSR Insurance Services Incorporated. Well, over the last 2 weeks, we haven't had a lot to talk about. Precipitation's been mainly confined down into Arizona and New Mexico. Most of the central and northern Rockies, the Pacific Northwest, the West Coast, and parts of the northern plains really haven't seen very much weather, but that is changing. Much colder and windy conditions are going to be developing in many areas of the West with the first real significant mountain snows of the season. And we're going to see some rain and snow on the plains, although it'll be the mountain areas and the Pacific Northwest that'll be the most wet. This pattern change is certainly a signal that the fall season is getting more mature, as we are going to be looking at less in the way of warmth and more in the way of these storm systems and fronts that are going to be more frequent. It does look like the pattern is going to be more unsettled and more cold for the rest of October into early November in the West. So this is a good and bad thing. Good in the sense that it is going to bring needed precipitation in some areas. It's going to, though, make it colder, more periods of wind, and we're just on the countdown to the season getting colder and more winter-like. But in the short term, we're going to still be looking at some decent weather. The latest drought monitor still shows tons and tons of drought, but this area right here, folks, has been improving all the way since really late spring. This area up here as well. So it's not all bad news, although we still have a lot of severe drought, especially here in the Central Plains, where conditions in this area here have worsened over the last 6 months. Other areas of the West have shown some modest improvements, but we got a long way to go to make this map look better. Over the last week, this is where the moisture's been. I mentioned Arizona, New Mexico, and Southern California. Those areas have had some showers and thunderstorms in the most active weather, but look at all of this real estate right here. For the last week, there's been almost no measurable precipitation, and this moisture right here, very, very light. And if you look at the precipitation anomaly, a good chunk of the U.S., with the exception of the Northeast and the Great Lakes, has been drier than normal or looking at near average precipitation. The wetness continues in those areas down there. As we head into the early part of this forecast, this is where a lot of our weather is going to be. We've got this large storm system coming into the Pacific Northwest and Northern Rockies this weekend, lasting into early next week. This is going to bring rain and snow to the west, significant snow to the mountains, a lot of wind, and a major transition from what has been a warm, dry October to a colder, more unsettled one as we work our way through the next 7 days. This is what temperatures look like towards the middle of the week. You can see all the blue and the green there. Look how much colder it is from Mexico all the way through the Rockies to the West Coast and the Pacific Northwest and southern Canada. So this is definitely a 180-degree change from the unseasonably warm and dry weather we've seen lately. Now, by next weekend, we do see that trough moving on out. But the jet stream is taking tracks now further south, not so much up along the U.S.-Canadian border anymore. So what that'll do is keep frequent frontal systems coming off the Pacific through the United States and keeping the weather pattern busy for the last week of October. In particular, we see another weather system bringing moisture to the west again late Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday of next week. So there's a system that is going to come during the week as well. This is what the precipitation forecast looks like for the next week. Look at this. Significant moisture in the Pacific Northwest, even into the Sierras of California and the interior west here. And look at the mountain areas. Mountain areas are going to do very, very well with snowfall, and you can see it right here. This is the first real significant widespread snow event of the fall season in the West. While there will be lower elevation snowfall, it'll be the mountains and higher elevations that pick up the majority of the snowfall. Our next update will be the 29th. Have a great week ahead.